Helena brushed a stray hair from her perfectly manicured face, her lips curling into a dismissive smile as she surveyed the scene in front of her. The cafe buzzed with patrons enjoying their lattes and pastries, but her attention was drawn to a small, crumpled box huddled against the damp sidewalk. It was hardly worth her time, but the patter of rain on the pavement had an almost theatrical quality, beckoning her curiosity. "Look at that pathetic little thing," she chuckled, her voice dripping with disdain. Her friends, a carefully curated group of equally wealthy socialites, turned their heads toward the box, and their laughter resonated with an air of superiority. Someone must have dumped it for a reason. It's probably sick or something. As Helena leaned back in her chair, her designer handbag slipping off her shoulder, she felt a sense of satisfaction wash over her. The world revolved around her, and anything less than perfection was simply a source of amusement. The puppy, with its matted fur and pitiful whimper, was just another example of the failures of those beneath her. She took a sip of her artisan coffee, savoring the rich flavor as her laughter blended with the rain-soaked atmosphere. Unbeknownst to her, an older man named Ray sat nearby, nursing a cup of black coffee, watching the scene unfold with a mix of disbelief and sorrow. His weathered hands trembled slightly as he clutched the cup, not from age, but from the weight of recent loss. Ray had spent the last few months grappling with the emptiness left by his wife's passing. Her laughter, once a comforting melody in their home, echoed only in his memories now. It was a void he filled with routine, an attempt to find solace in the mundanity of life. Yet, here he was witnessing someone's cruelty so brazenly displayed. Ray's heart ached for the tiny creature, huddling in its makeshift prison, drenched and trembling. He remembered the joy his wife had felt when they adopted their first dog, a scruffy mutt they named Max. That little dog had brought them so much happiness, teaching them about love in its purest form. Now, all he could think of was how unfair it was for that poor puppy to be cast aside as if it were nothing more than an old toy. As Helena continued to mock the puppy, Ray felt a surge of determination swell within him. It was more than just his sympathy for the creature. It was a rekindling of purpose. Slowly, he rose from his seat, his joints protesting the movement as he made his way toward the box. He could feel the judgmental stares of Helena and her friends on his back, but he pressed on, the rain soaking through his worn coat, each droplet mirroring the tears he had held back for months. "Hey, little one," he murmured softly, kneeling beside the box. The puppy's eyes, wide and frightened, locked onto his, and for a fleeting moment, Ray felt a connection, a shared understanding of loneliness and vulnerability. He reached out, gently placing his hand on the puppy's head, feeling the shiver of its small body beneath his palm. "Let's get you out of here," he said with a tenderness that had been absent from his life for far too long. With careful hands, he lifted the puppy, wrapping it securely in his coat. The warmth of his body seemed to soothe the trembling creature, and for the first time, the puppy let out a soft whimper that resembled a sigh of relief. As he stood, Ray glanced back at Helena, who was now rolling her eyes and smirking at her friends. He felt a spark of indignation flare within him, but he quickly quelled it. This wasn't about her. It was about the puppy, and he had a mission to fulfill. He made his way to the nearby veterinary clinic, his heart pounding not just from his exertion, but from a renewed sense of hope. Inside the clinic, the atmosphere shifted. The smell of antiseptic mingled with the soft sounds of other animals being treated, and Ray felt a sense of belonging. He approached the receptionist, his voice steady despite his nerves. "I found this puppy outside. It needs help." The receptionist's face softened as she caught sight of the little creature nestled in Ray's coat. "Oh, poor thing. Let's get it checked out." As she ushered him to a waiting area, Ray couldn't help but feel a glimmer of optimism. The puppy was in capable hands now, and he was determined to see it through. While waiting, Ray's mind wandered. He thought of the new chapter ahead, one that hadn't seemed possible just days ago. The loss of his wife had left a gaping hole in his heart, but perhaps this was a sign, a chance to open himself up to love and care again. He envisioned a future where he could give this puppy a home a place filled with warmth and laughter, where memories could be created in honor of the life he had shared with his wife. As the vet examined the puppy, Ray learned the grim details of its condition. Malnutrition and exposure had taken a toll on the little creature, but it had a fighting spirit. With proper care and attention, it had a chance to thrive. Ray's resolve hardened. He would not let this puppy down. He would nurture it back to health, just as he had once cared for Max. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Ray and the puppy, which he affectionately named Lucky, deepened. The once timid creature began to flourish, its coat gleaming with health and energy. Ray found himself laughing again, the sound echoing through his modest home, filling it with the life it had been lacking. Each day brought new adventures. Playful chases in the backyard, quiet moments cuddled on the couch, and the joy of watching Lucky discover the world around him. Meanwhile, the local news began to pick up the story of the abandoned puppy, contrasting Ray's kindness with Helena's callousness. The article, filled with heartwarming images of Ray and Lucky, went viral, igniting a wave of sympathy and support for Ray. Donations flooded in, allowing him to provide not just for Lucky, but also to begin dreaming of a larger purpose, perhaps even starting an animal rescue center. As Helena watched the backlash unfold from her luxurious penthouse, she struggled to comprehend the shift in public opinion. The laughter that once surrounded her felt hollow now, echoing her isolation. The world she had built on vanity and self-indulgence began to crumble, like a sandcastle washed away by the relentless tide. Helena sat on her plush velvet couch, the soft fabric contrasting sharply with the hard truth of her reality. The news reports, filled with stories of Ray's kindness and the plight of the abandoned puppy, invaded her carefully curated world like an uninvited guest. Each notification on her phone felt like a dagger, driving deeper into the facade she had so meticulously constructed. Her friends, once a source of validation, were now whispering behind her back, their laughter no longer a chorus of support, but a mocking echo of her own arrogance. "What a farce," she muttered, tossing her phone onto the marble coffee table, where it landed with a dull thud. She glanced at the wall adorned with expensive art pieces, a testament to her wealth and status. Yet, in that moment, they felt like gilded chains, binding her to a life that was unraveling before her eyes. The laughter of her friends, once a sweet symphony, now felt like the cawing of crows, ominous and foreboding. She had always prided herself on her ability to control her image, to manipulate how others perceived her. But the tide was turning, and she felt helpless against it. The comments on social media were relentless and cutting. How could she laugh at a suffering animal? What kind of person finds joy in cruelty? Each word stung, a reminder that the world was no longer on her side. In the lavish penthouse where she had once felt invincible, loneliness crept in like a shadow. Her phone buzzed again, a notification from the local news channel featuring a segment on Ray and Lucky's journey. The screen flashed images of Ray cradling Lucky, his face alight with joy. It was a stark contrast to her own life, where smiles had become forced and laughter felt like an act. "Pathetic," she scoffed, though the words lost their bite. Deep down, she knew she had been the one to expose her own cruelty, and the realization gnawed at her. She reached for her phone, scrolling through the comments, her heart racing with both anger and dread. Beneath the surface of her irritation, she felt a tremor of fear. What if this backlash didn't just fade away? What if it led to something more significant, something she couldn't control? As the days passed, Helena's world continued to tilt dangerously on its axis. The public sentiment shifted against her, and her once loyal friends began to distance themselves. Invitations to exclusive events dried up, and the laughter that once filled her life turned to whispers of disdain. She found herself trapped in a gilded cage. The very wealth that had once brought her joy now felt like a burden. Meanwhile, Ray thrived in the warmth of community support. He received donations not just for Lucky's care, but also for his dream of starting an animal rescue center. The outpouring of kindness reached beyond financial help. People showed up with supplies, food, and even their time, eager to assist in whatever way they could. The local shelter, inspired by Ray's dedication, offered to partner with him, providing resources and guidance to make his vision a reality. Ray spent countless hours planning, sketching out ideas for the rescue center, envisioning a place where animals could find safety and love. He wanted it to be a sanctuary, a haven where neglect and abuse were met with compassion and care. Lucky, now a sprightly bundle of joy, was his constant companion, often beside him as he worked, wagging his tail enthusiastically, as if he could sense the excitement in the air. Every morning, Ray would take Lucky for long walks in the park, the fresh air invigorating both of them. The neighborhood was blossoming around them, filled with families and children, with laughter echoing among the trees. The connection he felt with the community grew stronger, as people began to recognize him as more than just a man who saved a puppy. He was a man with a mission, a beacon of hope for those animals still searching for their forever homes. One sunny afternoon, as they strolled through the park, Ray spotted a group of children playing with a ball. Lucky, ever the playful pup, darted toward them, eager to join in. Ray chuckled, his heart warming at the sight. The children squealed in delight as Lucky bounded around them, his energy infectious. "Can we pet him?" one little girl asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Of course," Ray replied, kneeling down to let the children gather around Lucky. They showered him with affection, their laughter ringing in the air like a sweet melody. In that moment, Ray felt a surge of fulfillment. This was what life was meant to be, a tapestry woven with kindness, laughter, and love. As summer rolled in, the preparations for the rescue center gained momentum. Ray found a small property on the outskirts of town that had once been a neglected farm. It was perfect, a sprawling space that could house the animals and provide a much-needed sanctuary. With the donations he had received, he was able to secure the property and began transforming it into a welcoming environment. Helena, on the other hand, remained ensnared in her own spiraling reality. Her financial troubles deepened as the negative press continued to haunt her. The loans she had taken to maintain her lavish lifestyle loomed over her like a dark cloud, and the once glamorous parties that filled her calendar were replaced by meetings with creditors and financial advisors who delivered bad news with grim expressions. Desperation clawed at her insides as she realized that the empire she had built on superficiality was teetering on the brink of collapse. She watched as Ray's rescue center garnered attention and support, while her own reputation disintegrated. The contrast was stark and painful, a constant reminder of her own failings. One evening, as she sat in her dimly lit penthouse, she received a call from her lawyer. "Helena, we need to discuss the implications of your loans. The bank is preparing to take legal action if we don't settle soon." Each word felt like a nail being driven into her coffin, sealing her fate. "I'll find a way," she responded, her voice more defiant than she felt. But deep down, she knew she was running out of options. The lavish lifestyle she had clung to was slipping through her fingers like sand, and she could do nothing to stop it. In the midst of her turmoil, a strange thought crossed her mind. What if she could turn this around? She had always been skilled at manipulation, and perhaps it was time to use that skill to regain control. If she could somehow get involved in Ray's project, she could spin the narrative in her favor. "Maybe I could help," she whispered to herself, her mind racing with possibilities. The idea of rebranding herself as a philanthropist appealed to her, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of determination. It was a chance to rewrite her story, to shift the focus away from her past mistakes. As the sun set on the horizon, Ray stood in the yard of the new property, gazing at the potential that lay ahead. Lucky bounded around him, barking joyfully, and the warmth of the moment filled him with hope. He had turned a new page in his life, one written in compassion and resilience. Little did he know that the shadows of Helena's past were lurking just beyond the horizon, waiting for their moment to collide. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden hue over the property, Ray stood amidst the remnants of the old farm. It was a place that had once been vibrant, but now lay quiet, as if waiting for the breath of life to return. The scent of grass and earth filled the air, and with each passing day, He could see the potential of what it could become. With Lucky bounding around him, the dog's energy was a constant reminder of the joy that could flourish in this space. Ray felt invigorated. He had spent the past few weeks sketching out plans for the animal rescue center, envisioning play areas for the dogs, cozy spaces for the cats, and even a small garden where volunteers could gather. The community support had poured in, and he was grateful for every donation, big or small. Local businesses offered supplies, and volunteers lined up to help with renovations, their enthusiasm infectious. One Saturday morning, as he was setting up a makeshift workspace outside, a group of volunteers arrived, armed with paintbrushes, tools, and a collective spirit of camaraderie. "We heard you could use some hands," one of them called out, a bright smile lighting up her face. Ray beamed with gratitude. "Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. I can't tell you how much this means to me." And to Lucky. As they worked together, laughter filled the air. They painted walls, mended fences, and transformed the neglected property into a welcoming haven. Ray found himself sharing stories of Lucky's journey, how he had rescued him from the streets, and the joy the little dog had brought back into his life. Each story seemed to weave the group closer together, creating a tapestry of shared purpose and compassion. Meanwhile, as Helena plotted her next move, she began to reach out to her contacts in the media, hoping to spin a narrative that would redeem her tarnished reputation. "What if I host a charity event at my penthouse?" she mused one evening, staring at her reflection in the glass. "I could invite influential figures, make a big announcement about my commitment to animal welfare, and support Ray's Rescue Center." The idea began to take root, feeding off her desperation. She wanted to be seen as a benefactor, someone who had turned her life around by helping others. It was a dangerous gamble, but she was willing to take the risk. If it could help her regain control of her life, it would be worth it. As days turned into weeks, the Animal Rescue Center began to take shape, the spirit of the community breathing life into every corner. Ray's heart swelled with pride as he watched the transformation unfold. He and Lucky became a symbol of hope, inspiring others to embrace kindness and compassion. One evening, as Ray was cleaning up after a long day of work, he received a phone call from a local journalist. "Ray, I'd love to do a feature on your rescue center and how it's coming together. It's such an inspiring story." Ray couldn't help but smile. "Of course, I'd be honored to share our journey." As the journalist arrived, cameras flashed, and the excitement in the air was palpable. Ray spoke passionately about the mission behind the rescue center, highlighting the importance of providing a safe space for animals in need. Lucky, ever the charmer, posed for pictures, his wagging tail and bright eyes capturing the hearts of everyone present. Meanwhile, Helena meticulously organized her charity event, reaching out to her network and crafting a carefully curated guest list. She envisioned the evening as a grand affair, complete with elegant decor, fine wine, and the kind of glamour that had once surrounded her life. It was a chance to pull at the heartstrings of her guests, to showcase her transformation and garner sympathy. On the night of the event, her penthouse sparkled with chandeliers and exquisite floral arrangements. As guests arrived, Helena donned her most dazzling smile, greeting them with warmth that felt rehearsed but necessary. She floated through the crowd, making sure to draw attention to her plans for supporting Ray's Rescue Center. "Isn't it just wonderful what Ray is doing?" she exclaimed to a group of socialites, her voice laced with a feigned sincerity. "I'm so proud to be a part of it. It's time we give back, don't you think?" As the evening progressed, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. But beneath the surface, whispers of doubt surfaced. Some guests were skeptical, recalling the recent headlines about her callous behavior. They exchanged glances, unsure whether to applaud her efforts or question her motives. Meanwhile, Ray was hard at work with his volunteers, making preparations for the upcoming adoption event at the rescue center. He had no idea of Helena's plans, but felt a sense of anticipation in the air. The animal shelter had partnered with him to showcase adoptable animals, and he was determined to make it a day filled with joy and new beginnings. When the day of the event arrived, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the rescue center. Families poured in, eager to meet the animals and find new companions. The atmosphere was alive with laughter, barks, and the joyous sounds of children playing. Ray watched as Lucky interacted with the visitors, his tail wagging furiously as he basked in the attention. But just as things seemed to be going perfectly, a familiar figure appeared at the entrance. Helena, adorned in a stunning gown, strode in with an air of confidence. She had decided to make a grand entrance, and it was clear she intended to steal the spotlight. "Ray," she called out, her voice ringing through the crowd. "I'm so glad I could be here to support this incredible initiative." Ray's heart sank, a mix of confusion and irritation washing over him. He had hoped to keep the focus on the animals, on the kindness of the community, but now it felt overshadowed by Helena's presence. "Helena," he replied, forcing a polite smile. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Oh, I wouldn't miss it. I want to show everyone how much I care about this cause." She gestured to the crowd, her eyes glinting with ambition. "Let's work together to make this day unforgettable." As the event unfolded, Ray felt an internal struggle. On one hand, he couldn't deny the potential for more support, but on the other, he struggled with the idea of aligning himself with someone whose past actions had been so contradictory to the values he cherished. Helena moved through the crowd with practiced grace, shaking hands and mingling, all the while subtly positioning herself as a key figure in the rescue center's mission. She spoke eloquently about her plans to raise funds and awareness, painting herself as a champion for the cause. Ray, observing from a distance, felt a surge of frustration. It was as if she was trying to rewrite her narrative in real time, and he couldn't help but feel that it was disingenuous. The animals deserved genuine advocates, not those seeking redemption for past mistakes. As the day progressed, Ray took a moment to step outside, seeking solace in the fresh air. Lucky trotted beside him, sensing his unease. "What do you think, buddy?" he asked, scratching behind Lucky's ears. "Do we let her take the spotlight? Or do we stand our ground?" Lucky wagged his tail, as if to say, "Let's stick to what we know." Ray took a deep breath, remembering why he had embarked on this journey in the first place. It wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about providing a safe haven for animals and nurturing the bonds of compassion within the community. With newfound determination, Ray re-entered the event, ready to reclaim the narrative. He approached Helena, who was surrounded by guests, and cleared his throat. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" The crowd quieted, turning their attention to Ray. "I want to thank you all for being here today. The love and support for these animals mean the world to us." He caught Helena's eye, willing her to understand the sincerity of his words. "But I want to emphasize that this rescue center is about the animals first and foremost. It's about creating a safe space for them to heal and find forever homes." The crowd erupted in applause, and Ray felt a surge of support from those around him. Helena's expression shifted, her smile faltering as she realized the tide was turning once more. Ray continued, "We can all do our part to make a difference. And I invite each of you to not only support this cause, but to advocate for kindness and compassion in your daily lives. Together, we can create a world where every animal is valued and loved." As he spoke, Ray felt a sense of empowerment wash over him. He had taken a stand, and the community rallied behind him, their applause echoing in the warm afternoon air. Helena stood at the edge of the crowd, her facade cracking, the weight of her past choices pressing down on her. In that moment, Ray realized that his journey was not just about saving Lucky or building a rescue center. It was about inspiring others to embrace compassion and make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. As the event continued, Ray felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection with those around him. A community united in love for animals and a commitment to change. And Lucky, ever the joyful companion, danced around the crowd, embodying the spirit of hope that had blossomed in this small corner of the world. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the rescue center as families left with happy pets in tow, their hearts filled with new beginnings. Ray watched, filled with gratitude, knowing that this was only the beginning of a beautiful journey ahead. And as for Helena, she lingered at the edge of the crowd, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. She had come here with a plan, a hope to reshape her image. But as she watched Ray's passion and the joy radiating from the families, she realized that her attempts felt superficial in comparison. The authenticity of the love and connection surrounding the rescue center was palpable, and for the first time, she felt an inkling of what had been missing in her own life. As the last guest departed, Ray noticed Helena still lingering, her posture tense and her expression contemplative. He approached her cautiously, unsure of how to bridge the gap that had widened between them since that rainy evening at the café. "Helena," he greeted, keeping his tone neutral. "I hope you enjoyed the event." She turned to him, her facade slipping slightly as vulnerability flickered in her eyes. "It was inspiring," she said, her voice softening. "I didn't expect to feel that way." Ray studied her for a moment, sensing the sincerity behind her words. "It's about more than just the animals, isn't it? It's about community, compassion, and finding purpose." Helena nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I've been so lost, Ray. For so long, I thought my worth was tied to my wealth and status. But watching you and the connection you have with these animals, it made me realize how empty my life has been." Ray felt a flicker of empathy igniting within him. He had witnessed how the pursuit of superficial validation could lead to darkness, and he understood the pain of losing one's way. "It's never too late to find a new path," he encouraged gently. "You have the power to change the narrative, but it has to come from a place of genuine compassion." Her eyes widened, and she took a deep breath, as if summoning the courage to confront her past. "I want to help, Ray. I want to do better, but I don't know where to start." "Start by being honest with yourself," he replied, his voice steady and reassuring. "You can't change what's happened, but you can use your resources to genuinely support this cause. The animals need advocates who truly care, and this community deserves leaders who inspire kindness." A moment of silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken understanding. Helena's walls started to crumble, and she realized that perhaps redemption wasn't just about reshaping her image. It was about reshaping her heart. "I'd like to help organize more events," she offered hesitantly, her voice trembling with sincerity. "I want to raise awareness, not just for the rescue center, but for the animals that need homes. I want to be part of something meaningful." Ray regarded her with cautious optimism. "If you're committed, then we can work together. But it has to be genuine. The community can sense authenticity, and if you're in this for the right reasons, they'll support you." Helena nodded, a newfound determination dawning in her eyes. "I promise I will be real. This is about the animals and the people who love them." As they spoke, a sense of camaraderie began to form, a fragile thread of understanding weaving between their contrasting paths. Ray knew it wouldn't be easy, but perhaps this was an opportunity for both of them to grow. "Let's meet next week to brainstorm some ideas," Ray suggested, feeling the weight of the moment. "We can outline a plan for upcoming events and how we can engage the community." Helena smiled, a genuine warmth igniting within her. "I would like that." As they made their way out of the rescue center, Lucky trotted between them, oblivious to the complexities of human emotions, but embodying the joy that had brought them together in the first place. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, Ray and Helena began to forge a partnership that felt both unexpected and hopeful. They organized community events that prioritized compassion and education, focusing on responsible pet ownership and the importance of adopting animals in need. Helena poured herself into the work, her previous motivations fading into the background as she embraced the sincerity of the cause. The more time she spent with Ray, the more she found herself laughing, enjoying the connection she was building, not just with the community, but with herself. Ray, too, found a renewed sense of purpose in guiding Helena on this journey. He saw the sincerity in her efforts, and as their relationship deepened, a friendship blossomed, grounded in shared values and a mutual desire to make a difference. Together, they hosted adoption drives that drew crowds, and with each animal that found a loving home, they felt a sense of accomplishment that filled the voids in their lives. The rescue center flourished, becoming a hub of hope and love, a place where animals and people came together to create lasting bonds. However, as they worked side by side, whispers of Helena's past began to resurface. Some community members remained skeptical, questioning her motives and whether she had truly changed. They remembered the laughter she had shared at the expense of the abandoned puppy and couldn't reconcile it with the woman standing before them now. One evening, as they prepared for another event, Ray turned to Helena, concern etched on his face. "I've heard some murmurs. People are uncertain about your involvement. They're worried that it's not genuine." Helena's expression hardened for a moment, but then she took a deep breath, her resolve strengthening. "I can't change the past, Ray, but I can prove myself going forward. I need to show them that I'm committed to this cause from the bottom of my heart." Ray nodded, understanding the weight of the challenge before her. "It won't be easy, but you've come so far already. Just keep being true to yourself." As they prepared for the upcoming event, Helena dedicated herself to engaging the community. She reached out to those who had expressed doubts and listened to their concerns, sharing her story and the lessons she had learned. It was a humbling experience, but one that allowed her to open up about her journey and her genuine desire to make amends. The event arrived, and the community gathered to celebrate the animals and the progress of the rescue center. Helena stood before the crowd, her heart pounding as she prepared to speak. "Thank you all for being here today. I know that many of you have doubts about my intentions," she began, her voice steady. "But I want to be honest with you. I've made mistakes and I've hurt others. But I've learned that true worth comes from kindness and compassion, not from wealth or status." The crowd fell silent, captivated by her vulnerability. "I want to be a part of something bigger than myself, to help these animals find homes and to support our community. I promise to work hard every day to prove that my commitment is genuine." As she spoke, Ray watched from the sidelines, pride swelling in his chest. He could see the sincerity radiating from Helena, and he knew that this was a pivotal moment for her. The audience responded with applause, and for the first time, Helena felt a sense of acceptance wash over her. As the event continued, people approached her with open arms, eager to share their support and encouragement. In the weeks that followed, Helena continued to engage with the community, becoming a beloved figure in the rescue center's mission. She was no longer the wealthy woman who had laughed at a suffering puppy. She was a woman who had learned from her past and was dedicated to making a difference. Ray watched as the rescue center flourished, not only as a place for animals, but as a symbol of redemption and hope. Together, they had created a space where compassion reigned and where the community could come together to support a cause larger than themselves. As winter approached, the rescue center prepared for a holiday event that would celebrate both the animals and the spirit of giving. The community rallied around the cause, and the anticipation filled the air. On the day of the event, families gathered with their pets, and laughter echoed through the center. Ray and Helena worked side by side, sharing smiles and stories, their bond deepening with every moment spent together. As they set up, Ray turned to Helena, a smile on his face. "Look how far we've come. This place is a testament to the power of kindness." Helena nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I never imagined I could find purpose like this. Thank you for believing in me." As the evening unfolded, a sense of warmth enveloped the space. The community came together to celebrate, and as the stars twinkled above, Ray and Helena shared a quiet moment, reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. "Life has a funny way of teaching us lessons," Ray mused, glancing at the happy faces around them. "It's the connections we make that truly matter." Helena smiled, her heart full, and the compassion we show, even in the face of our mistakes. As the holiday event concluded, the community left with hearts full of joy and new furry friends, a reminder of the beauty that could emerge from even the darkest moments. Together, Ray and Helena had created a sanctuary of hope, a place where love, kindness, and second chances thrived. And as the years passed, the rescue center became a beloved cornerstone of the community, transcending the past and embracing a future filled with compassion. Ray and Helena continued to work side by side, their friendship growing stronger as they shared the mission of uplifting both animals and people, proving that true wealth comes not from material possessions, but from the love we give and the lives we touch. As the years passed, the rescue center blossomed into a vibrant hub of activity and compassion. drawing in families and animal lovers from across the community. Ray and Helena had forged a partnership that was not only productive but also deeply rooted in friendship and shared purpose. The center became a sanctuary for animals, a place where they could heal, find love, and ultimately, forever homes. Each day was filled with new challenges and triumphs. Ray took on the role of the hands-on caretaker, working tirelessly to ensure the animals received the best care possible. He woke up early to feed and exercise the dogs, clean the kennels, and organize supplies. His heart swelled with pride each time a family chose to adopt an animal, transforming the lives of both pet and owner. The joy of witnessing those connections was a reward that filled the void left by his wife's passing, and he cherished every moment spent with the animals. Helena, on the other hand, became the face of the rescue center within the community. Her passion for animal welfare transformed her public image from that of a wealthy socialite to a dedicated advocate for those without a voice. She organized fundraisers, community events, and educational workshops, tirelessly working to raise awareness about the importance of adoption and responsible pet ownership. One particularly cold winter evening, as the holiday season approached, the center prepared for its annual holiday adoption extravaganza. The event promised to be a grand affair, with decorations, festive music, and most importantly, a chance for the animals to find loving homes just in time for the holidays. Ray and Helena spent weeks planning, determined to make it the best event yet. The night of the extravaganza arrived, and the center was transformed into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights adorned every corner, and the scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air. Families milled about, their laughter mingling with the excited barks of dogs eager to meet potential adopters. "Tonight is going to be magical," Helena said, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she adjusted a string of lights over the entrance. "I can feel it." Ray smiled back at her, feeling the energy of the crowd. "I think we have a great chance to find homes for many of these animals tonight. And look at how many people showed up. It's heartwarming." As the evening unfolded, they watched as families interacted with the animals, the atmosphere filled with joy and hope. Children giggled as they played with puppies, and parents exchanged smiles as they watched their kids bond with the furry companions. It was a beautiful sight, one that reinforced the mission behind the rescue center. Ray took a moment to step outside, needing a breath of fresh air. The cool winter breeze kissed his cheeks, and he gazed up at the stars twinkling against the dark sky. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for how far he had come since that rainy evening when he rescued Lucky. It was a moment that had changed his life, and now he was part of something much larger, a movement that spread love and compassion throughout the community. "Hey, you okay?" Helena's voice broke through his thoughts as she joined him outside. "Yeah, just taking it all in," he replied, a smile spreading across his face. "I can't help but think of how much has changed. Just a few years ago, we were strangers, and now look at what we've built together." Helena leaned against the wall, her expression thoughtful. "I know. It feels surreal sometimes. I never imagined my life would take such a turn. I was so lost, and now I feel like I've found my purpose." Ray nodded, appreciating her honesty. "You've done an incredible job, Helena. Your passion shines through, and you've made a real impact on so many lives, both human and animal alike." The warmth of their friendship enveloped them, and for a moment, they simply enjoyed the quiet togetherness, the satisfaction of knowing they had created something beautiful. As they re-entered the center, the crowd had swelled, and the energy was infectious. Families were lining up to adopt, and the sounds of laughter and barking filled the air. A little girl approached Ray, her eyes wide with excitement as she tugged on her father's sleeve. "Mister, can we adopt this puppy? He's so sweet," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy as she pointed to a small golden retriever mix. Ray knelt down, meeting the girl's gaze. "He is a sweetheart. His name is Charlie, and he's been waiting for a family just like yours." Her father smiled, watching as his daughter interacted with the puppy. "We've been looking for a family pet. This little guy looks like he'd fit right in." As they filled out the adoption paperwork, Ray felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. Each adoption was not just a success for the center, but a chance for a new beginning for both the animal and the family. Later in the evening, as the festivities continued, Helena took to the stage to address the crowd. Thank you all for being here tonight. We've had an incredible turnout, and I'm thrilled to announce that we've already found homes for several of our furry friends. Cheers erupted from the audience, and Helena continued, her heart swelling with pride. This center is only possible because of your support. Together, we are changing lives, and I couldn't be more grateful to each and every one of you. As she spoke, Ray watched her with admiration. She had truly transformed, and her genuine passion for helping animals inspired everyone around her. After her speech, Helena stepped down, and the crowd buzzed with excitement. Families gathered around the adoption area, eagerly discussing which animals had captured their hearts. Amidst the joyous chaos, Ray caught sight of a familiar face. It was an older woman who had been one of the first volunteers at the rescue center, a true animal lover. "Ray, come here. You have to see this," she called out, waving him over. He approached, curious about what had captured her attention. "What's going on?" "I just spoke with a family who wants to adopt a pair of cats," she said, her eyes sparkling. "They're so excited, and they also want to donate to the center. Isn't that wonderful?" Ray felt his heart swell with gratitude. "That's amazing news. The more animals we can help, the better." As the night continued, the center buzzed with energy, and the number of adoptions steadily climbed. Each time a family left with a new pet, the sense of accomplishment grew stronger. As the evening drew to a close, Ray and Helena stood touch. They're surveying the joyful scene before them. "I can hardly believe how many lives we've changed tonight," Ray said, his voice filled with warmth. Helena nodded, her eyes shining. "It's all thanks to the community's support and your vision, Ray. I'm so proud of what we've accomplished together." In that moment, they shared a sense of understanding, a bond forged through dedication and compassion. They had both experienced loss and redemption, and together, they had created a sanctuary of love for those who needed it most. As the last families departed, carrying their new pets and smiling with delight, Ray turned to Helena. "This was a night to remember. I can't wait to see what the future holds for us and the rescue center." "Me too," Helena replied, her heart full of hope. "And I promise to keep working hard to support this cause. I've found my purpose, and I'll never take it for granted again." As they cleaned up and prepared to close for the night, Ray felt a sense of peace settle over him. They had built something beautiful, a legacy of compassion that would continue to touch lives long after this night. Their journey together had transformed them both. And as they stepped into the future, hand in hand with the community, they knew that together, they could overcome any challenge that lay ahead. And as the stars twinkled overhead, casting a soft glow over the rescue center, they felt a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to a brighter tomorrow, one filled with love, kindness, and second chances for every animal in need. As the stars twinkled overhead, casting a soft glow over the rescue center, Ray and Helena felt a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to a brighter tomorrow, one filled with love, kindness, and second chances for every animal in need. The success of the holiday adoption extravaganza lingered in their minds like a sweet melody, and they knew they had struck a chord in the hearts of the community. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity as the center buzzed with excitement. Helena dove headfirst into planning more events, each one more ambitious than the last. Ray, ever the steady presence, worked alongside her, providing the grounding support she needed as she navigated this new chapter in her life. The collaboration between them had blossomed into a partnership that merged Ray's experience with Helena's newfound passion, creating a harmonious balance that resonated throughout the center. One day, while sorting through donations in the back of the rescue center, Helena stumbled upon a box filled with old photographs and letters. Curiosity piqued, she began to sift through the contents, uncovering snapshots of animals that had once roamed the center, some adopted, others still waiting for their forever homes. Each picture told a story, and as she flipped through the pages, she felt a swell of emotion rise within her. "Ray, come here," she called, her voice tinged with excitement. Ray appeared, wiping his hands on a rag, a look of curiosity on his face. "What's up? Look at this," she said, holding up a faded photograph of a scruffy dog with big, soulful eyes. This little guy was adopted years ago, but there are so many stories here that we could share with the community. Ray leaned over, examining the box. These could be great for our social media. We could highlight success stories and remind people of the impact of adopting. It could inspire others to come forward and help. Helena nodded eagerly, her mind racing with ideas. What if we create a special section on our website dedicated to these stories? We could showcase the animals we've rescued and the families they've brought joy to. It'll remind everyone why we do this. Ray smiled at her enthusiasm. That's a fantastic idea. Let's get to work on it. As they delved into the project, they spent hours recounting the tales behind each photograph, their laughter echoing through the center as they reminisced about the animals that had come through their doors. They shared stories of the challenges they had faced, the triumphs they had celebrated, and the unconditional love that had connected each animal to its new family. The more they worked, the more they realized that this project wasn't just about the animals. It was about the community they had built together. The stories became a testament to the power of compassion and the impact of a united effort. With each success story they shared, the community responded with enthusiasm. People began to reach out, sharing their own experiences of adopting pets from the center, and the positivity spread like wildfire. The rescue center became a hub for love and support, drawing in volunteers eager to contribute their time and resources. Then came the day when Helena received an unexpected phone call. It was from a local news station. "We've been following the success of your rescue center, and we'd love to do a feature segment highlighting your work and the stories of the animals you've saved," the reporter said, excitement evident in her voice. Helena's heart raced. "That sounds incredible. We'd be honored to share our journey." Ray stood nearby, catching her eye, and she couldn't help but smile at him. "This is going to be amazing." The following week, a camera crew arrived at the center, ready to capture the essence of their mission. Ray and Helena worked together seamlessly, showcasing the animals and sharing heartfelt stories. As the camera rolled, they spoke passionately about the importance of adoption and the joy it brought to both animals and families. When the segment aired, it struck a chord with viewers. The community rallied around the rescue center, and donations flooded in. More families visited, eager to find their perfect furry companions, and the center became a beacon of hope in the town. Ray and Helena embraced the newfound momentum, planning adoption events and educational workshops that emphasized responsible pet ownership. They invited local schools to participate, encouraging children to learn about animal care and empathy. The response was overwhelming, with students eager to engage and contribute. One evening, as they wrapped up another successful adoption event, Ray turned to Helena, his heart full. "I can't believe how far we've come. This community has embraced us, and it feels like we're making a real difference." Helena nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I never imagined I could feel this fulfilled. It's more than just saving animals. It's about building connections and creating a culture of kindness." As the weeks turned into months, the rescue center continued to thrive, and Ray and Helena became known as local heroes, a dynamic duo dedicated to making the world a better place for animals. But amidst the success, they also faced challenges. One afternoon, as they were preparing for an upcoming event, they received a distressing call from a local shelter. "We're overwhelmed with animals that need immediate placement. We're running out of space, and many of them are at risk," the shelter director explained, urgency lacing her voice. Ray and Helena exchanged worried glances, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. "How many do you have?" Ray asked, his heart racing. "About 20 dogs and cats. We need to find fosters or adoptive homes quickly, or we may have to make some difficult decisions," the director replied. Helena felt a pang of anxiety. "We can help. We'll organize a special event to find them homes. We can't let these animals suffer." Ray nodded in agreement. "Absolutely. Let's rally the community and get the word out." Within days, they mobilized their resources, promoting a rescue rally to find homes for the animals in need. They reached out to local businesses, schools, and community members, urging everyone to spread the word. As the day approached, The energy in the center was electric. Families began to arrive, excited to meet the new animals. People brought donations of food, blankets, and toys, and the outpouring of support was overwhelming. Helena stood at the entrance, greeting families as they arrived. She felt a sense of purpose surging through her. Each person who walked through the door represented a chance to change a life. As the event unfolded, Ray moved through the crowd, introducing families to the animals. He watched with pride as connections were made. Children giggling as they played with puppies and parents smiling as they found the perfect companion. But then, as fate would have it, the skies opened up and rain began to pour down. The weather was unexpected, and for a moment, chaos ensued. People rushed for cover, and Ray feared that the downpour would dampen the spirits of the day. Helena, however, remained unfazed. "Let's move things inside," she shouted over the sound of the rain, her voice filled with determination. "We can set up a cozy area for everyone to meet the animals." Working together, they quickly transitioned the event indoors, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere despite the storm outside. The laughter continued to echo through the center, and the bond between people and animals only grew stronger. As the day came to a close, Ray and Helena looked around, their hearts swelling with gratitude. Despite the rain, they had found homes for nearly all the animals brought in from the shelter, and the community had come together in a remarkable way. "I can't believe we did it," Ray said, his voice filled with awe. "This was a true testament to what we can accomplish when we work together." Helena beamed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's moments like these that remind me why we started this journey. It's about connection, love, and second chances." As the rain continued to fall outside, the warmth of the center enveloped them, a sanctuary filled with hope. Together, they had not only saved lives but had also forged a community united by compassion, proving that even in the face of adversity, kindness could shine through. In the months that followed, the rescue center became known for its unwavering commitment to animals and the community. Ray and Helena found themselves in the spotlight more often, invited to speak at events and share their story of redemption and resilience. Through it all, their friendship deepened, evolving into a bond that transcended their shared mission. They learned from one another, drawing strength from their unique experiences. Ray's gentle wisdom blended seamlessly with Helena's lively spirit, creating a dynamic partnership that inspired those around them. One evening, as they sat on the porch of the rescue center, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ray reflected on their journey. "You know, Helena, I never would have imagined that our paths would intertwine like this. It's been a remarkable journey." Helena smiled, her heart full. "I feel the same way. This place has become a part of me, and I can't thank you enough for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Ray turned to her, sincerity in his eyes. "You've shown incredible strength and growth. You're a beacon of hope for so many, and I'm grateful to have you by my side." As the sun dipped below the horizon, they sat in comfortable silence, feeling the weight of the world lift. They had faced challenges, but they had also celebrated countless victories, each one a reminder of the power of compassion and community. And as they gazed into the future, they knew there were still many more stories to be written, many more lives to change. Together, they had built a sanctuary of hope, and together, they would continue to weave a narrative of love, resilience, and second chances for every animal that crossed their path. With the arrival of spring, the rescue center buzzed with new life. Adoptions surged, and the center was filled with the joyful sounds of barking dogs and playful kittens. Families returned for community events, bringing their adopted pets to share in the celebration. Ray and Helena organized educational workshops, teaching responsible pet ownership and the importance of spaying and neutering. The community embraced the center wholeheartedly, and it became a beloved institution in the town. One sunny Saturday, they planned a spring fling event, a day filled with activities, games, and opportunities for families to meet the animals available for adoption. As they set up, Ray found himself reflecting on how far they had come. He glanced over at Helena, who was enthusiastically directing volunteers and hanging colorful banners. Her energy was infectious, and he admired her dedication. "Helena," he called out, joining her near the entrance. "Do you remember our first event? How nervous we were?" She laughed, a sound that warmed his heart. "Oh, I was a bundle of nerves. But look at us now. It feels like we've grown so much since then." "Absolutely," Ray replied, a smile spreading across his face. "And it's all because of the incredible community we've built together." As families arrived, the atmosphere exploded with excitement. Children ran around, their laughter mingling with the joyful barks of the dogs. Ray and Helena moved through the crowd, welcoming guests, introducing them to the animals, and sharing stories of the center's mission. "Look over there," Helena pointed excitedly as a little boy knelt down to play with a puppy. "That's what it's all about, seeing the joy on their faces." Ray nodded, his heart swelling with pride. Every smile represents a life saved, a bond formed. We're making a difference, one adoption at a time. Later in the day, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Helena gathered everyone for a group photo. "Let's capture this moment," she called out, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. Families and volunteers huddled together, their faces bright with happiness. "Ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese!" Helena shouted, and the moment was immortalized in a snapshot of joy. As the day came to a close, Ray and Helena surveyed the scene. Families leaving with their new furry friends, laughter echoing in the air, and the sense of community stronger than ever. "Today was a success," Helena exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I can't believe how many animals found homes." Ray nodded, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. It's moments like these that remind us why we do what we do. It's about love, connection, and giving these animals a chance at a better life. As they began to clean up, Ray noticed a familiar face among the crowd, one of the first families to adopt from the rescue center. They approached him with smiles, and he felt a rush of warmth. "We just wanted to thank you," the mother said, her eyes shining. "Our dog, Max, has changed our lives. He's brought so much joy to our family." Ray felt a lump in his throat, moved by their words. "That's wonderful to hear. Max deserves all the love in the world." Helena joined them, her heart swelling with pride. "Thank you for being such amazing pet parents. It means so much to us to see these animals thriving in loving homes." As the family shared stories of their adventures with Max, Ray and Helena exchanged glances, an unspoken understanding passing between them. They had created something beautiful together, an enduring legacy of compassion that would continue to touch lives. As the sun set, casting a warm, golden glow over the rescue center, Ray and Helena stood side by side, watching families depart. "Tonight reminds me of how transformative this journey has been," Helena said softly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "We've built a family here, one that extends beyond just the animals." Ray nodded in agreement. "And it will keep growing. We'll keep fighting for every animal, every life." In that moment, they knew their mission was far from over. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would continue to inspire love and compassion in their community, proving that every act of kindness, no matter how small, could create ripples of change. With a shared glance, they turned back toward the center, ready to embrace the challenges and triumphs that lay ahead. Their journey had only just begun, and the future was bright with possibilities. Together, they would ensure that every animal would have a voice, a chance to find its forever home, surrounded by love and compassion.